him.
Hello?
Hello? Are we on? Hey, how's it going? I need to pull up a little speech that I just wrote before this real quick. This next piece is one that some of you may know or recognize bits and pieces of, as the composer Stephen Bryan took heavy inspiration from Gustav Holst's iconic First Suite in E-flat. Now, if you're anything like me, or maybe you just don't know a lot about music, and that's okay, you don't know it by heart, according to Grace, over here on the oboe, who's a absolutely fantastic player and human being, earlier when we got out of orchestra, she was telling me about this Gustav guy, and she said, Devin, and I quote, the first suite in E flat is like the second famous, most band piece in the entire world. So, you know, it's pretty important. Either way, Sweet Dreams pays a great homage as Stephen Bryant uses a great beefy sound that I personally love to tell a story that pierces your heart and makes those who listen feel. This is Sweet Dreams by Stephen Bryant.
being here on a Tuesday night. How about you all? Let's have a hand for your being here. Yeah. You guys don't have any idea how much your feedback affects us on stage positively, and it's just a circle of love here. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Nothing on the program tonight, but some of my favorite music ever. Did you appreciate and like how I'm talking less tonight so far? By the way, Devin did great. I wrote him something to say, and he did not say any of those words. What he had said was probably better. I was very interested to see where that was going. So that was the second most famous band piece ever. What's the first most? It's on the program tonight. Yeah. Not this next one yet. Okay, so Wildflowers, you read the program. This music is not abstract. It's not intellectual. It's human. It's music from people's perspective. All these composers has a point of view. They're not composing for posterity. They're composing for themselves and for people around them. It's just music for people. Kind of like wildflowers, they are where you find them, right? We don't plant them. We don't cultivate them. We just find them and appreciate them. That's kind of how this program came together tonight. This next piece is by one of the coolest composers I've come across in recent memory. Molly Joyce is just such a cool person and cool composer. I've never met her, but I can kind of tell about her personality just through this composition. This is a very determined work, and I can tell she's kind of a fierce idealist by this work. This composition is very persistently focused on one idea from the beginning to the end. One idea. That's the concept from attack to sustain musically. Programmatically, there's another thing going on, and so where the inspiration of this comes from is Molly was writing a piece about this concept of disability, that this as kind of a label that we use for people, and it's kind of a way to simplify the human experience and say this person is disabled and this person is able. That's what her inspiration for this work was. My take on this is kind of like what I got out of this work is a little bit more broad. It's kind of about the concept of labels. You're not this or you're that. You are you. You're your individual self. And I think sometimes we appreciate people more when we don't simplify them by putting a label on them, but we get to know them. So that's kind of what this work is about to me. Musically, it's challenging. It's challenging for you to listen to because again, it's very focused on one idea, and there's no straying. You know, you could say this piece has attention surplus disorder, right? It's very, very focused. So I challenge you to appreciate this work. This is the kind of music that when I was in high school, I heard some new modern sounds, and I might have been the only one in the audience, but I was changed, and I haven't looked back since then. And if there's one person in this audience tonight that's captivated by these sounds, then I will have done my homework and my job here. So hope you appreciate it. This is All or Nothing by Molly Joyce. So this, hopefully you're finding out what I already know. This is a fantastic group of musicians on stage. And like any ensemble, obviously it's made up of its members. And there's nothing more or less to it than that. So the students on stage, some of them, this is our first semester of college, and they're doing fantastic. In fact, I didn't plan to do this, but can we recognize the people who this is their first semester of college and they're killing it? Can you stand up if this is your first semester of college? also a group tonight for whom this is their last concert with the Pittsburg Community Wind Ensemble. Some of them have been here a long time, and some students on stage, they've gotten their undergraduate and now they're finishing up their master's degree, and they've been in the ensemble the whole time. Some of them have been here 4 years and they're going on to do wonderful things. Our graduates are all over the country, particularly in this region. They're all doing fantastic things. A lot of students on stage, their music teachers were Pittsburg State University alumni, and the tradition continues. So I would like to recognize 6 members right now for whom this is their last concert with the Wind Ensemble. And they're on the very back page of your program. You can see their names and some of their memory that sticks out to them. What I would like to recognize right now is their faces, so I'll ask them to stand so you can see who they are. But also how long they've been here and what they're going to do, what they're planning to do. Of course, plans are one thing and reality is another thing, but this is the time where they get to kind of like figure out what they're going towards next. All right, so I'm going to read them in alphabetical order, starting with, in the trumpet section, Ryan Ford, please stand up. In the near future, Ryan will be auditioning for grad school for trumpet performance. In the clarinet section, we have Joel Garber, please stand up. Ryan's been here 8 semesters, Joel has been here 7 semesters. Joel will be student teaching in the spring semester and auditioning for various graduate schools around the country. After graduation, he plans to pursue a master's of music performance, exclamation mark. So good luck with that, Joel. We look forward to following both your careers. Next, in the clarinet section, I would say is our longest standing member, Kaylee Hall. Please stand up. Kaylee has been with us 13 semesters, so she's finishing up her master's degree right now. In fact, Kaylee was here when we last did Lincolnshire Posey back in my 2nd year here, which it was not a good choice at that point. I mean, it was fantastic. I always loved it, but I was not as good of a I was not as prepared to lead that ensemble through that. Let me just put it that way at that point. You can be the judge, I guess, tonight. Kaylee will be moving on to get a job in her field, which is psychology. So good luck with that, Kaylee. In the percussion section, who's been here 7 semesters, Josh Ortolani. Is already standing, but you can wave, I guess. And Josh, I believe, has already been accepted to be a graduate student in polymer chemistry next semester. Is that correct? Yes, he's giving me a thumbs up. All right, next in the trumpet section, I'd like to recognize Ransom Leader, who's been here for 4 semesters. And he will be student teaching in the spring, so getting his hands dirty and getting some experience in the field, so to speak. Lastly, I would like to recognize in our horn section, Lance Smith, who's been here 7 semesters. In the spring, Lance will be student teaching at Joplin High School. So let's have a hand for all of our Wind Ensemble future alumni here. Okay, so let me paint a picture for you. In 1906, there was a new device. It was an Edison wax cylinder, and Percy Aldrich Granger, who had moved from Australia to Germany and now was in England because he was just too talented to keep in Australia. Sorry to any Australians in the audience tonight. So he was, but Percy Granger was. If you look up iconoclast in the dictionary, or maybe nutcase, Percy Granger's picture might just show up. He sees the bottom composer in your program there, and he was a character. And I've got stories that I'm refraining from talking tonight because otherwise it'll be here too long. I'll just give you one. One of the things besides music that Percy Granger did is he designed and made and wore a line of clothing made out of towels. And I don't mind if you want to look up on your phones right now, Percy Granger towel clothing. There'll be some pictures. You go right ahead. That's just one, just off the top of my head. But it's every day like this. So if you had a friend like Percy Granger, he's like, all right, what's he up to this week? Because it's always something weird and in 1906, before Bartok, before a lot of the people that started collecting folk songs, before Gustav Holst and Ray Vaughan Williams, who started writing folk songs, Percy Grainger went out into the English countryside, and this might as well have been like the 1700s, because the difference between city and country was so great. The country might as well have been a different country. So out in the country of England, in Lincolnshire, England, he sought out people, and he sought out people that were singing folk songs. Obviously, folk songs are not something where you get a piece of music and you learn. It's something where you listen to your father and grandfather work in the field, and you listen to their songs, and you start to learn the songs, and then you kind of make them their own. And since you have a different personality than your father and grandfather, you're going to sing the songs just a little bit different. So you saw people who were going to sing a unique version of folk songs. And these 6 movements on Lincolnshire Symposium, Lisbon, Porkstow Grange, Rufford Park Poachers, The Brisk Young Sailor, Lord Melbourne, and The Lost Lady Found are all folk songs that he recorded out in the field in England. And he was not interested so much in the notes that they sang, but in the personalities of the singers and the stories of the folk songs. So I'm going to just give you a couple of examples before we play Lincolnshire Symposium tonight of some examples of how he accomplished this. And in trying to capture the unique personalities of these folk singers, these 6 people that sang for him, he wrote some of the most innovative, brilliant, beautiful, tragic music for band that has ever been written to this day. Just by that one goal, trying to capture the personalities of these singers and the stories that they were telling. So, 6 movements, I'm going to just give you a little snippet so you can have something to listen for. In movement 1, Lisbon, the lyrics of the song feature William, who's going off to war, and he's super happy about it. He's so excited to go off and fight for his queen. William's going off to war. And the other character in the first movement is Nancy. Now Nancy's pregnant, and she is not happy about William going off to war, and she's not afraid to give her viewpoint either. Your viewpoints, don't go, dummy. Let's stay here. I'm pregnant. So one of the things Grainger did in this first movement is he captured both of those voices, and I'm going to give you a brief example of first Nancy's voice and then William's voice, and then what Grainger did as Soul Point is he layered both of them on top of each other, so it's almost like they're talking over each other and not listening at all. They're kind of talking at the same time. So first we'll hear Nancy, then we'll hear William, then we'll hear the combination. So in movement 2 is a little bit different. Movement 2, he's not so much capturing the story, although he is. Porkstow Grange is a town, small town in rural England. And Grange just means like farmhouse. So the farmhouse in Porkstow. He's capturing the personality of the guy who's saying this to him. His name is George Gouldthorpe. And George has got the worst life imaginable. He's a real person. He was in his 70s or 80s. He was way too old to be working, but he was working on the roads, highways, smashing rocks and doing physical labor. And he worked on the roads until he was too sick to work anymore. Then he went into the sick house until he was recovered enough to go right back out on the highway. So you can imagine this person has a tough life. And he's a real person, but he was the sweetest, kindest, gentlest man that Percy thought he had ever met. And he's trying to capture this gentle, noble personality in the face of a really harsh life. We're not going to play that for you now. I'll let you listen. But in moving to Porkstow Grange, the personality of George Gouldthorpe is kind of what is coming through here. Movement 3, I am biased, but this is my favorite movement. It's the most complex and interesting and dark movement. This is a dark song that he's trying to capture the story of the Rufford Park Poachers. And I'm going to let you use your imagination as to the story, but I kind of want to highlight some of the interesting things that Granger does that is just not quite bizarre, but it's getting very bizarre musically. And it's like darkly brilliant. So in the beginning here we have the melody, very weird, warbling, non-metric melody. But not only is it weird and metric and warbling and non-melodic, but he puts it in canon with itself. So it's like, it's almost like putting you in a daze. So I'll just play a little bit of that beginning of movement 3 for you. So these 3 movements start off bright with William and Nancy, get a little bit more melancholy with Hortzog Grange, and kind of descend into like this dark weirdness with Part Boogies. So the first 3 movements kind of form a unit. Movement 4 is like the exact opposite of movement 3. And that's all I'll say about it. You just look at the title. The brisk young sailor who returned to wed his true love. That's movement 4. Movement 5, imagine a kind of a doddering old like veteran from like pre-revolutionary British army. So he's about 70, and you just imagine his lifestyle and his viewpoint on the world, and it's totally without rhythm. So imagine like if you can think of anyone that you know that's like just a loud, boorish, boastful, borderline obnoxious maybe. That's the personality that we're trying to capture here. And in doing so, we have done away with all meter and all rhythm. And basically, since I'm in this movement, I'm kind of just the guy whose opinion matters. Every time I give it down, they play a note, and I just get to do whatever I want there. So I'll play a little bit of that. Movement 6 is something that's kind of rare. It's a dance song. So it's a song that's meant to be danced to, but with vocal accompaniment. This one tells a fascinating story that I'll let you use your imagination for. So without any further ado, here's the entirety of Winged Charcoal's all 6 movements by this fantastic ensemble. Hope you enjoy it. We are not going to have an intermission, but we will have a brief pause. So not quite enough time to go use the restroom, but it's really fast. We're going to bring the community band on stage in 30 seconds. Wind Ensemble, you know what to do. Do it right now. Sorry, this is my teacher mode. And once they do that, community band, feel free to come on and join us.
I have the great pleasure with Dr. Chybowski of organizing and rehearsing the Pittsburg Community Band. Dr. Chybowski contacted me a few weeks ago and asked if we wanted to play a concert with the PSU Wind Ensemble. And anytime I have a chance to work with the Pittsburg Community Band and work with Dr. Chybowski, I just have a tremendous time. I get to meet new people. I get to make music with people who are showing up on Sundays just for the sake of making music. It is not their career. They don't get paid for it. And they know that as well. They're not expecting a check at the end of the night. And I get to learn a little something every Sunday that we rehearse. It is really just truly just my great honor to work with this group. So before we start our three tunes tonight, the people back in the light booth, this first one is going to be a pretty Christmassy one. So let's go ahead and throw some red and green up right now before we start. And also, while we're throwing that red and green up, can we give it up for the PSU Wind Ensemble and Dr. Chybowski one more time? And I'm sure we're still throwing some red and green up. But without further ado, please welcome back to the podium. He's wiped the sweat from his brow, the one, the only, Dr. Andrew David Chybowski. Thank you, everyone. We've got one more number for you tonight. It's a fun one. We wish you a Mumble Christmas. But before we go on, I think I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Mr. Keeley's naughty trombones back in the back. So let's give it up for Mr. Keeley's naughty trombones in the back. They stood and everything. Okay, and we have a special guest back in the percussion section on a go-go bells tonight, Dr. Andrew David Chybowski. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. Enjoy.